I got to produce the soundtrack for Friends. I got to have the song written. I did all those things, and got to work with, you know, this show called ER, and got to work with all these amazingly talented people. And what happened with Friends was, it was like this amazing story with Friends. Because at the time, there weren't television soundtracks, because record companies didn't believe in them. What they wanted was, record companies wanted the Big Bang. You know, they wanted Batman, they wanted Superman, they wanted, you know, what else? Star Wars. You know, all these huge soundtracks that were star-driven, you know, that were artist-driven. And so when they looked at a television show, television was always a stepchild, which is totally different now. And so I saw this amazing opportunity with Friends. And I went to this guy who was running Reprise Records at the time, Howie Klein, and I said, look, you have to look at this show, because the show's pretty amazing. It was before it came out. And I said, there's this incredible opportunity for a soundtrack, because it appeals to the right demographic, and everybody thinks the show's going to be a huge hit. And I think what we can do is we can like intertwine a bunch of different artists and create like this great template, you know, and have a soundtrack album for a television show. And he totally got it. You know, he totally got it. He said, well, when you have a main title, you know, come back to me and we'll see what we can do. So what happened with Friends was, Kevin Bright, who was the executive producer, came to me and said, look, you know, we want to have a song written. I said, okay. So, well, what are we going to do? I'm like, well, do you have a melody? He said, yeah, I have a melody. I'm like, okay. So I said, well, we should probably go to Allee Willis, who is probably one of the most prominent lyricists I know of. I mean, she's written probably 75 or 100 hits and a bunch of stuff for Earth, Wind, and Fire, and just an amazing, amazing lyricist and song craftsperson, who, by the way, is now in the middle of writing a play for Broadway. She's doing The Color Purple, which is probably going to premiere on Broadway, I think, in the next 3 or 4 months. Anyways, Allie was retired, because Allie got into doing web work and doing all this stuff. And I called her up, and Allie's a really good friend of mine, and I said, Allie, there's this amazing opportunity. And she's gruff, and, you know, she's kind of hard-edged. And she says, well, what's the opportunity? And I said, well, it's this TV show called Friends, and they need a main title written. So she says, okay, look, only for you. So she came in, she wrote the lyric, and then we had to find an artist. So we went through about 200 CDs, and the last CD that was sitting on my desk was this CD by the Rembrandts. And I gave it to Kevin, and he got it. He said, that's the band. And these guys were like, they were almost extinct. You know, it was almost over with for these guys. And so I called them up and I said, look, you guys interested? Sure. So they came in and we wrote this song called I'll Be There For You, and the rest is history, except for what happened with their record company. Because we wanted to release the single, and what happened was their record company realized that they were just getting ready to put out an album, and the album was obviously a stiff, and so what they tried to do was take this single and put it on their album. We didn't want them to do that, because what it was going to do was minimize what we were doing on our soundtrack album. So long story short, what happened was we agreed to let them put it on their record, and we also put it on our record. And what we did with our record, and the reason we got to make our record, was because we did what's called a favored nations deal with all these artists. We had amazing artists on this record. We had R.E.M. on this record. We had Joni Mitchell on this record. We had Chrissy Hynde on this record. It was just like this amazing record. We got really lucky, because what we did was we went to them with the theory that we were going to get Madonna. So Madonna said she wanted to do it. So we said, cool. Here's what we're going to pay you. We're going to pay you $12,500. And that's what we're going to pay everybody. So everybody agreed, because the linchpin was we had Madonna. So Madonna backed out. but we didn't tell anybody. We couldn't. So we still had this amazing record. And to this day, I mean, the album sold about 2.5 million units. But it was the beginning of, I mean, at least for me, I saw this amazing evolution in television soundtracks. Because what's happened today is, with the OC and the show that I work on, American Dreams, and One Tree Hill, and Smallville, and all these shows that cater to a young demographic, and it's all about music. What's happened is, because the record business has become, it's degenerated to a place where they don't know how to market artists anymore because of what's happened to them. And it's not their fault, they've imploded. I mean, the internet's caused like this whole maelstrom in the record business. And so what's happened is they've utilized this tool called television to help promote their artists. And as a result, all these artists now want to be on television. So it's the antithesis of what was happening 10 years ago. Nobody wanted to touch TV. It was like, it was the bastard stepchild. Now what's happening is, it's a way to break an artist. Literally, it's become the radio of what was used to be a playlist in the top 40s. Now, television now is used as a template to sell artists. Because you reach, if you have a show that reaches 10 to 12 million people a week, that's a hit of 10 to 12 million people that you don't have on the radio. You just don't. It's too hard to sell artists that way anymore.